You are now tuned in to DAR Sports Media. Tonight, we're back with the NFL Football Fridays for you guys, doing our NFL divisional previews, going through the season is coming up. I'm riding here tonight with my man, Jeff Axel, another duo episode, and we're going to cover the AFC South tonight. As I said, interesting situation as this division has been kind of dumpster juice for a long, long time, and then we notice all of a sudden, we might have had a complete 180 here, as we're looking at a situation where not only do we have one of the few divisions in the league where every team has their quarterback situation looking decent, but every team has a young gunner, up and coming, rising star of a quarterback. This is the only place that has that. I think you could talk about maybe the NFC West has the whole division covered at quarterback. Some other ones that are probably escaping my mind right now, possibly not the AFC East, because I don't know what's going on with the Patriots. It's very rare, and if Will Levis takes the next step, looked good in some spots last year, has looked decent in the preseason. If Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, we could have that in this division, in a division that's been so bad for so long. And it's, situations where you do these preview shows and it's like, well, somebody has to fucking win it. So who is it? Now it's really a question if all these quarterbacks can take the next step. It's pretty staggering. And another thing that is staggering about it is I think both of us agree that one team appears to be head and shoulders above the rest of the division. This Houston Texans squad with this incredible, honestly, probably should have got MVP votes type performance out of a rookie last year, CJ Stroud, elevating this roster. All they did was go out and have statistically added production, the most successful offseason in the history of the NFL. No team in NFL history has added a 1,000-yard rusher, a 1,000-yard receiver, and a 10-sack player in one offseason ever. It has not happened. The Texans did that, added that to a team that was already a pretty big threat to the rest of the AFC. Incredible. Sky's the limit. You don't want to be too much superlatives because you'll come back this. Now, one thing I will say is it's also been very rare in the history of the NFL that the team that has that type of an offseason gels immediately and fulfills their potential. So often we used to say this back when they were called the R words, the Washington team. That used to happen all the time. They would have these amazing off seasons, add all these free agents, and then the team would not gel. They would not do well. They would underachieve. I don't think that's going to be the case here, but I'm just saying it's not a sure thing. But everything looks like this is going to be at least a 12 or 13 win team. What are your thoughts, Axe? I know you're very, very high on the Houston Texans as well.
Yeah, for those that aren't familiar, I predicted them to do well last year, and they exceeded my expectations. Shout out to D'Amico Ryans. He's a great coach. Shout out to CJ Stroud. He made great things happen with Nico Collins and Tank Dell before he got hurt. So the addition of Diggs and Mixon to that offense, and the tight end's name is escaping me right now. I forgot, but he was pretty productive too. Texans, they're going to be potent, especially with Will Anderson and the additions they had this offseason on defense as well. Like I expect double-digit wins and them winning that division.
Are you going just double digit, just 10, or I'm thinking 12 or 13, man?
I think it's 12.
Because you forget, sure. Will Anderson was right up there in Rookie of the Year too, 9 sacks, and he's going to be on the other side from Danielle Hunter, one of the top 10 pass rushers in the whole league.
Right.
God damn.
Yeah. The Texans are definitely potent. Yeah, I can see 12 wins. They're upper echelon in the AFC. Yeah. Like, it's not much to say outside that they're going to be the cream of the crop of this division. Dissecting the other teams would be interesting because I think they're going to win fairly comfortably. I don't think it'll come down to the last game like it did last year.
As somebody who is a fan of one of the other big boys in the AFC, how do you perceive them in the tiers of the hierarchy of the AFC? Do you perceive them as a threat to the Ravens and to the Chiefs and the
Yes.
Bengals? I guess we'll go with the Bengals because I'm not putting the Bills.
I actually believe they're in that tier. Like, unless CJ Stroud has a sophomore slump, which I don't foresee, just due to his work ethic and how I don't know. I don't see a drop off. I consider them a threat. We played them on Christmas too. That's going to be a good litmus test.
It's gonna be tougher than your Christmas game last year.
Absolutely,
motherfucker.
So like both times, like he didn't really score a high amount of points against us, but he played fairly well. His first ever game was against us. So he had about like 245.
I remember everybody fucking taking that in their eliminator pools last year. Like, oh, there's no chance this horrible roster and this rookie starting his first game, and nobody knew CJ Stroud really was like that. And then there was some sweat. There was some sweating going on. I remember that.
Yeah, that man played like one of the best defenses in the league and played fairly well on the road in his first game.
Yeah.
So that's how I was like, yeah, this guy's special.
And they, they added pieces to the secondary to help Stingley. It's, again, man, this is tough because, we've seen it before. We have seen before people say this and the additions, and we got the spiffy new uniforms, and we got all this, and and then those teams fall flat and they underachieve under the pressure. But on paper, there's really not a lot of weaknesses on this roster, especially, you would hope bottom baseline for a rookie to get 5 to 10% better in their second year. And if that happens, look out. This is a top 4 easily in the AFC team.
Absolutely. Like, they're elite. Now, who do you have second in AFC South?
I was about to ask you the same thing. Since the other teams are going with unknowns, I'm going to have to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were in the driver's seat, were in pole position. And you know what? And this is going to be, we're going to hedge a little bit when we get to discussing the Colts because, that conversation warrants that. But Jaguars were in pole position. They kind of melted down last year. I think they made some decent additions. Brian Thomas Jr., Devin Duvernay, new starting center Mitch Morse. You know how I love my linemen. Darnell Savage in the secondary, shoring up a weakness.
Gabe Davis too.
Also adding Gabe Davis. Eric Armstead, of course, is well known to me, a favorite of mine. I'm not sure how much his health is going to allow him to make an impact, but that too would be a big addition to that defensive line. They still got Josh Allen out there as a top flight pass rusher. I see no reason for them to not be competitive. Of course, hedging on the things we're about to talk about, because I think there is a chance that both the teams beneath them can pull ahead of them, depending on the development of their quarterbacks. But for now, I'm looking at the Jaguars as a 9-win team. And to be competitive there in the AFC South. What do you think there?
I believe the Jaguars could potentially be a wild card team, but something that isn't talked about enough is Trevor Lawrence's turnovers. And they lost a lot of games down the stretch due to like poor decision making from Trevor Lawrence. Like, had a high interception rate. So it hinges on him.
Believe me,
they're a wild card team though, huh?
I said, believe me, I know, because I got into a lot of Brock Purdy versus Trevor Lawrence conversations last year towards the end of the year, and a lot of that came up. So yeah, I don't think he's There's a longer
Coming
Trevor
out of
Lawrence
Clemson,
conversation.
it was a lot of
Yeah.
hype about him, man. Like, we college football guys.
And I think we have had this conversation before on this show that I have said, and I think it was when they were struggling last year when I said this. I said it was kind of like after that Alabama game when he was a freshman, it was like didn't matter what else he did the rest of his career. Like he came in as this heralded prospect, one of the greatest, most hyped prospects out of high school of all time. They had the Alabama game. He validated that ranking, and then after that, it was like it doesn't matter what he does. He's Andrew Luck. He's this. He's that. Top flight quarter. And honestly, I never saw the stats were there. They were decent stats, but watching the tape, I never saw him take over games. I never saw him look like a man among boys in college. I never saw, Andrew Luck, man, when an RG3 as well. When those teams got at the 30-yard line of the other team, it was fucking over. Like they're scoring a touchdown. There is not a whole lot you can do about it. I just never saw Trevor Lawrence being that sort of a dominant figure. And I've just never seen anything too spectacular out of Lawrence.
And when he fucking played against the Ravens and was coming back with dominance up with Zay Jones, he was blacking out on us. It came back like, what was it, 17, 20 points in the fourth quarter. That was that year we was blowing all them fourth quarter leads.
He just hasn't quite been that guy.
Not consistent. Yeah.
No, not at all. Okay. So do you got the 9 wins or anything better than that?
9, 10 if he gets his turnover issue straight. I'm interested to see if Gabe Davis can be a wide receiver 1 now that he's out of the shadow with Diggs. He's in warm weather. I want to see how that connection goes. And I believe ETN is going to do well too. So they have
it's about time. He better. So who do you got in third? I think I know because you're one of those people who's kind of into the whole Anthony Richardson thing.
I mean, Richardson played well before the injury. I would like to see if that continues because I wasn't a believer in college.
Okay. But, I mean, that was something I saw somebody tweet and I was, in agreement with it. They said, what is the hype? This guy has never been good at any point. Like, he's never had a season where you're like, damn, that was an amazing season. He wasn't good in college. He had some moments in the NFL, but he had a lot of bad too, and then got hurt. He's never been good. Not one season.
Yeah, I wasn't. Like I said, I wasn't a fan in college. I didn't understand the hype in college. I was surprised he got picked as high as he did. But he had looked solid in the NFL to me. I want to see it over a 16-game sample size. Or not 16, 17-game sample size. Hopefully he stays healthy. But I mean, Will Levis actually did look pretty good last year.
Yes, so yes.
And I do like their weapons. I mean, I know the Colts have Jonathan Taylor and Pittman, but
they're solid everywhere. And this is where I was going to hedge earlier when we were talking about the Jaguars. I like the overall rosters of the Colts and even the Titans just as much, if not more, than I like the overall roster of the Jaguars. It all depends on if the Colts quarterback and the Titans quarterback can take that next step. And I think those are questions that are on everybody's mind, whether that's going to happen or not. And it was funny because I was listening to people talk about this, and it's so true. GMs, they spent so many years. Well, I mean, you kind of looked at me surprised when I said that about the rosters, but the Colts were battling for a playoff spot with fucking Gardner Minshew as the quarterback. So if you do 10% better than that, I don't think you're competing with the Texans, but you're definitely competing for second place big time. And I think a lot of people expect Anthony Richardson to be more than 10% better than Gardner Minshew or give you 10% more.
Titans do look good at receiver because I like the Tyler Boyd
Yeah,
pickup.
no, the Titans have a decent little setup at the skill positions. They dedicated draft resources to making that offensive line better. They've got Calvin Ridley. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. They got Tyjae Spears catching passes out of the backfield. I think there's a lot there on the Titans offense that could help a quarterback develop. It's tough taking on a new coach. And having to relearn a system in your second year that has been shown time and time and time again to be something that stunts and hurts the development of quarterbacks, but hopefully not. Yeah, no, I like what they got going on offense. I think it's underrated. What I was about to say about Anthony Richardson is that GMs spent years and years and years learning the lesson of the toolsy guy, the guy with the tools with no production, the guy with the tools with no production. And then Josh Allen happened, and you had that one fucking outlier of no production but tools, and then he turned into a good player. And then GM's just like got hit with the neuralizer from Men in Black. It was fucking over. Like, we have to relearn this lesson all over again. And I'm speaking from some experience because John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan clearly didn't learn that lesson either when they fucking jumped up to take Trey Lance and waste 3 first-round picks on him. I take that one on the chin. That's 100% what happened there. And that could be, what happened, because I heard that on one of my favorite pods the other day, listening to Bomani Jones and Mina Kimes talk about it, is where people saw Josh Allen and said, oh, I got to get me one of those. Josh Allen's like the only example of a guy that's like that fucking worked out in the NFL. There's a fucking reason everybody was saying, don't do it. It's going to be a fucking car crash. And we could have, if Anthony Richardson doesn't work out, 2 examples of that since then in Trey Lance, possibly Anthony Richardson. Tell me more about the Colts, Axe. I'm telling you, competitive with Gardner Minshew, added the top pass rusher of the draft to the defense. That was solid. Still got all their skill guys. Still got Jonathan Taylor. Still got a damn fine offensive line. If Anthony Richardson fulfills that potential, if he goes 3,600 yards rushing,
that's what he needs. That and low turnovers, hopefully. Pittman is a good wide receiver 1 for him. I like the defense with EJ Speed and Zaire Franklin too.
Yes. Combined for 300 tackles between the 2 of them. Shit. Some bad dudes.
Right. Dudes fly all over the field. So, yeah, they're a good team. It just depends on if Richardson keeps the turnovers down and stays healthy. Who's the backup again? Is it Flacco or is it somebody else?
They brought in Flacco. I wish. Too bad Tay's not here right now. You know what he would be saying. They're going to win the division. You need to respect him. You need to respect Joe Flacco. You need to respect him. That's what he would be saying right now.
Shout out to Flacco, man. Like, he won Super Bowl for us. I don't slander Flacco. I'm one of the Ravens fans that don't.
I feel like that would be an interesting. I think they'd still be pretty damn competitive with Flacco. Now, it might only be for
like 3, 4
6 or 7 games. Yeah, 6 or 7 games before the pumpkin comes, like it did in the playoffs last year. And Flacco, the strikes midnight on Cinderella. But for 6 or 7 games, I think they'd be all right. And that'll be interesting to see.
I'm going to tell you this. Speaking of former AFC South quarterbacks, this is a little off topic, but I ain't going to be long on it. I want the Ravens to bring in Ryan Tannehill. Josh Johnson is cooked, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that game against the Eagles was so rough to watch. It was like him and Dennis Leary. It's like, no, get a real backup, man. Like,
well, that brings up the never mind. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that. We'll talk about it off air. There's another there's another theory that's out there that is on the Bomani Jones show a lot. When it comes to the backups for guys like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Titans. So the Colts. What do you got their win total at?
Spears is going to get over 1,000 yards for the Titans. Like, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, I think Tyjae Spears is going to be a sneaky top 10 fantasy running back this year. I've been on that for a few years now. Guy was a a bad man down at Tulane when he was down there, and
Yeah.
has shown enough because they decided to remodel their team and get rid of their best player. What's the win total that you got there for the Colts?
It really depends on Richardson. I see about 9.
Yeah,
no lower
so
than 8.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, they're not like a 7 or 6 win team to me. I think they're a little too good for that.
So I think the battle for second place is going to come right down to the wire then.
Yeah. I can see that.
Titans, I really don't have them too far behind. Depending on the development of Will Levis, 6 or 7 wins, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them up in the 9 slot either. If Levis really steps up, 15% improvement, what have you. What do you think of the Titans?
Probably they got a tough schedule because the AFC South is playing the NFC North and the AFC East. So that's a lot of tough games for them. About 7, 8 wins at the most. I don't see them being above 500, but Titans management seems to learn a lesson from that poo-poo AJ Brown trade they did a few years ago. They actually build Will Levis a good receiving core.
Yeah.
They gave that man DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd, who used to play for the Bengals, who's like an underrated slot receiver.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. No, Tyler Boyd is nasty. I think he was kind of hidden by all the other weapons on that team. I think Tyler Boyd could be a solid wide receiver too on a lot of teams.
Got a couple 1,000-yard seasons under his belt. Like, Boyd is like really good, man, and that's a better trio than
a lot of teams.
Yes, yeah, it's crazy.
Lloyd Cushenberry, starting center, going to be good. J.C. Latham at offensive tackle. They also somebody forgot L'Jarius Sneed, corner, short up that spot. So I'm telling you, man, Titans are a little bit of a sleeper. I like them at 7 wins. We'll have to look up the over under, see if there's any fucking gambling to be done there. I like the Titans over 7 wins. Who is your AFC South MVP?
I'm gonna say CJ Stroud.
Chalky.
I think he's on a mission. I think he's gonna have over 4,500 passing yards, potentially 5,000. I can see him getting close to that. I mean, it depends on what they do with Mixon and how they do schematically, but with the weapons he has, I can see him, the type of rhythm he was in to end the season, and with improvements to the roster and his game in general, I just see him reaching another level. So CJ Stroud for me.
Well, I'm going to have to go just to discuss somebody else. Is Anthony Richardson going to make the leap? And I think if he does, that's going to mightily elevate that team from where they were at as, an 8-9 win team last year to probably an 11 win team this year. So if he does, he'll probably be the MVP of the division. It's going to be CJ Stroud, but I just want to talk about somebody else. Who is your rookie of the year in the AFC South?
I don't want to mispronounce his name. Dude from the Colts, the lineman.
Latu.
Yeah, Latu. I definitely believe he'll be impactful immediately. In that division, as we've discussed, you definitely need pass rushers. It's a lot of good quarterback play. So it's going to be a lot of good running backs, too. Let's say between ETN, Tyler Spears, who I believe is going to get over 1,000 yards, and Jonathan Taylor. And Joe Mixon as well. So, you got a bunch of guys that have reached 1,000 or had the potential to. So you definitely need somebody that set the edge. I believe he'll have an impactful season. I know the neck injury was probably a concern, but you gotta take a risk sometimes when it comes to talent at his level.
So rookie of the year, I'm going to go with a couple of guys who are going to be, they're not going to be the star of the team, but it's where the team goes is going to really hinge on if they step into those shoes and they look legitimate right off the bat. And that is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who is going to need, they're going to need that production. They're going to need somebody to step in to fill in the role of the receivers that they lost, the weapons that they lost. Trevor Lawrence is going to need a new go-to guy down there. Obviously, we've talked about Gabe Davis, Devin Duvernay also in there. So the load's not going to totally be on him, but it is a big hole to fill production-wise at receiver. They drafted him high for a reason. They are going to, that might be worth a win or two if he steps in and he's a good receiver right off the bat. The other guy I'm going to highlight is going to be the same thing. Tennessee Titans had a screaming need at offensive tackle. They picked up J.C. Latham in the first round. If he can be plug and play, if he can be a top half of the league offensive tackle, that's going to really, really make a huge difference for that team. He has, pretty clean report card coming out. Looked like a good prospect. I think that that's going to hinge a lot if J.C. Latham can step in and be a legitimate starter from day one. Any thoughts on those guys, Axe? So what are your thoughts on Brian Thomas Jr., J.C. Latham, either one of those guys as a possible rookie of the year contender, and them needing to step in to provide instant production in these teams' futures, hinging a little bit on it?
And as far as Brian Thomas Jr., I definitely believe what he did at LSU is transferable to the next level. And
it's been pretty damn dependable. If you take a LSU receiver early,
yeah,
you're going to be cooking with gas. All right, we've had Lee Harvey jump in right here, right at the end. We're talking AFC South MVP and AFC South Rookie of the Year. Who do you have as the AFC South MVP? Our Rookie of the Year so far, Lee Harvey.
AFC South MVP. I think CJ Stroud's going to not only repeat what he did his rookie year, but might probably do even better, because last year it was when Tank Dell until he got hurt, and then Nico Collins for most of the season. Now you had those two, Steph Diggs, Joe Mixon. The offensive line, I don't think they made any changes there. As long as they keep CJ upright, I don't see why he wouldn't be the MVP of the division.
Oh, you got his Rookie of the Year down there in the AFC South. We were talking, some maybe Brian Thomas Jr., Jacksonville, J.C. Latham, Latu up there, Indianapolis Colts. Who do you like as Rookie of the Year down the AFC South?
I agree. Was it Jeff who said Brian Thomas Jr.?
No, it was me.
You? Okay, I agree with you. I would say Brian Thomas Jr. too, because he was sort of a touchdown machine.
Yeah,
at LSU last year, and I wouldn't say a 6'7", 6'8" type guy, but he's big enough.
But he's physical. He plays big.
Yeah, he's physical, plays big. He's a target in the red zone that they'll need.
Yeah, and that's the big thing too is looking at opportunity. That's what I was saying. You got a great conversion rate on LSU receivers, and the opportunity is going to be there. He's going to put up numbers because they fucking need him to.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, we here at DAR Sports, we're putting up numbers. We're putting out tons of content. You got to check the Medium site for all the articles. We're putting up shit right now. 3 drops a fucking week at least between the NFL show, this one, our college football show that we just put out, where we cover the AP top 25, broke that down in depth. And for the first time, DAR Sports as a family was able to sit at the table and break down this whole Deion Sanders phenomenon in college football. It's a really interesting discussion from different age groups, different backgrounds, different ways that people perceive the entire Deion Sanders thing. Definitely check that out. It's up on the YouTube page. And then also be on the lookout. Me and True, Weekend Wrestling. It's a huge month for professional wrestling between SummerSlam that just happened, All In that's coming up, and Bash in Berlin that the WWE also has going on at the end of the month. Huge month in professional wrestling. Free agents are moving. Things are happening. Big shows are coming up. And it's a very exciting time in football between NFL preseason rolling, our previews, the AP Top 25. Damn it, we got college football coming up very, very soon, just a couple of weeks. Things are going to be real, real hot here in a few weeks. But in the meantime, the world of DAR never stops.
Niggas steady talking, but they can't, man. 8 chests in its form on the same thing. 20 years in, rolling with the same gang. You can say what you want, niggas ain't changed. Niggas ain't changed, 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 niggas ain't changed.
I let it get too far, bearing their cross like Knights Templar. For my children, I'm the exemplar. Gem star, twinkle in my kids' eyes, it makes me want to cry. Self-prophecy, not accepting mediocrity. Socrates was a thief, shame on the democracy. Dealing with enough, let alone the cops blocking me. Anything else is obsolete. Forsake Pete, I will defeat all that lays at my feet. Keep the biz discreet. $1,000 vacation homes with expensive feasts. Some niggas say they friends but lie through their teeth. Loose lips, pillow talking this shit. Getting themselves in the mix, plotting on your chick. But I ain't changed a bit. I'm as real as it gets. Still pounding my fist. Shock Sports is a hit. All my time in the grid. DAR Media, we send it a blitz. Fuck all the glamour and glitz, yeah.
Niggas steady talking, but they can't, man. 8 chests in its form on the same thing. 20 years in, rolling with the same gang. You can say what you want, niggas ain't changed. Niggas ain't changed, 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 niggas ain't changed.
Flow master, dope habits, rope couplets, flow patterns. Justin Jefferson with catches, you can see the toe dragging. Old spasms, old fashions, Pelly, old classics, old Bama, roll tide, but I ain't doing no passing. Got these people claiming gangster, no you ain't that dog. Even producers turning shaky, yeah you ain't that dog. Niggas is bitch made pussy, yeah you ain't that dog. But I seen this shit coming, trust me, let me think back dog. They tell me that karma's a bitch and how it came back dog. I supported all of them artists when they ain't back, y'all. See, it's funny, this industry, you couldn't change that, dog. So when I see them play their tactics, I just aim that, dog. Cause these niggas ain't been that honest, but no loyalty. I said we needed royalties, and motherfuckers went and looked astonished. This is candid, but it's random. If you think a show and promise, cause they hate you if you asking questions before moving onward. These MCs are in it only now for opportunities. Place missing checks, a tagline that done influenced them. But see, this is obvious, and even now no unity in fighting black men not of the same community. Damn, now who we are? Not real ones, I see it clear.
Niggas steady talking, but they can't, man. 8 chests in its form on the same thing. 20 years in, rolling with the same gang. You can say what you want, niggas ain't changed. Niggas ain't changed, 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 niggas ain't changed. Niggas steady talking, but they can't, man. 8 chests in its form on the same thing. 20 years in, rolling with the same gang. You can say what you want, niggas ain't changed. Niggas ain't changed, 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 niggas ain't changed.